Hello and welcome to part 2 of this 6.3 kilometre Westminster Sightseeing Photorun. This section covers the South Bank and Waterloo Bridge. So this part of the route is new in London terms because it was formed around 1951 for the Festival of Britain, and it has remained an entertainment section since then. If we have a look at the South Bank circular route, you can see it's in two parts. One on the blue section is what we're going to cover now, and then the black section when we get to the end of Waterloo Bridge is the reverse section, which is going to be relaxing in Embankment Gardens. Having a look at all the sites along the way, you'll see there's a huge amount of entertainment sites along this side of the river and for things to see. So if you look at the Elizabethan map of 1560, you can see that the South Bank is quite marshy. There's not very much going on there at all, and obviously the Waterloo Bridge hasn't been built, so there's not very much happening. If we go forward 300 years to 1851 in Victorian times, you can see at the top here we have Westminster Bridge has been built, we've got Waterloo Bridge has been built, but we've also got Hungerford Bridge, which was a footbridge linking the north to the south. Now, in this map, which actually goes from looking from the north side towards the south, you can see that the north side is still pretty well built up with, again, bigger houses, but the south side has become very industrious. We can see that we have brewery here for making beer, and next to it is a lead shot factory, in fact two lead shot factories, to produce shot for the armaments. And as you can see from this picture, looking across the river with Waterloo Bridge on our left, you can see the lead shot tower here, and they used to make lead at the top area here, boil it up and then drop it down this big long column, and that used to form like raindrops, forming round pieces of lead. And if you wanted thicker shot, you used to boil the lead at the midpoint and then drop it all the way down into a vat of cold water. And as I said, the brewery for drinking the beer when they were thirsty was just on the right hand side of that. Now you can see this a bit more clearly in this map of 1845. You can see the brewery here, and we can see the two lead shot towers at this point. But you can also see that Somerset House has actually been built into its current form, and you can also see the Adelphi, which if look at an older picture is what it used to look like in the 1700s. And just for comparison, there's a few more maps here showing what it was like in 1795. You can see there's some industrialisation going along on the South Bank, but used to get quite a big sandbanks here, which was quite problematic in terms of flooding. And then as we move along to 1827, just before the building of the embankment, you can see the river is still pretty wide, but you can see how quickly it narrows when you get down to 1869. You can see that the Victoria embankment on the north is being built, but there's nothing on the South Bank. That wouldn't have happened until 1951 when we had the Festival of Britain. So that gives you a history of the area. Let's see what this would look like if we were running it at speed, over 20 kilometres per hour. So we start outside Embankment Station and we go through Embankment Place and then turn left past the Cabman Shelter on our left and then up the stairs to the Golden Jubilee Bridge. Now you can see the triangular arches. That represents what the old Hungerford Bridge used to look like when it was a suspension bridge. And then to our right you can see the London Eye, and you can also see the Houses of Parliament, and that big square building in front of you is the Shell building. There's a lot of more developments there that have gone up now from when I took this run. When we get to the end we go down the stairs, but instead of going straight we turn back on ourselves and go underneath the bridge, and then we'll have the Royal Festival Hall on our right hand side, and then views over to the Shelmex House and Victoria Gardens. Then we've got the skateboard and the graffiti place underneath there with the Queen Elizabeth and Purcell rooms above, and then we go round and show the National Theatre, and then we go at the side of that before we get to the British Film Institute, which is just the other side of the stairs here. We get onto the top of the bridge and we just go straight along towards Somerset House, which is in the far distance. On this side of the river you get some great views across towards the city buildings, but you also get some great ones back towards the Houses of Parliament on the right hand side. And then as we get towards the end in here, we're going to go down a set of stairs to end up on the Victoria Embankment, which you can see just coming on your right hand side. We're going to show you some sights along the route, and we've got some 360 pictures to help you find your way along it. We start this from the other side of Embankment Place, because I think if you were doing the run you were to come from across the road and straight up the Golden Jubilee Bridge rather than going back into Embankment and coming out again. And then as we can see from here, we would have come out through that station there, and we would have the Playhouse in front of us as well as the Horse Guards Hotel in front, and we just go straight up those stairs that you can see in front of us. And then when we get to the end of the bridge, this is what you'd see the wheel in front of you, and we just go down to the bottom of the stairs and do a complete turn around. So this is the road we're going to be facing, but we'd have come down those stairs and then just turned around and just come through the bridge. And when we get out the other side, we'll come down quite close to where the Royal Festival Hall is, which is very difficult to miss. So we've got the views over the river. And then when we get to the skate park, you may not see this sand here, that's generally in summertime, but you've got the skate park to the right, and you've got the Queen Elizabeth halls above. And then we get to the National Theatre, and then this is what we can see. You've got a huge building here. The British Film Institute is just further on from where we go up the stairs. When you get up to the stairs, this is our view. This is a view back down to the National Gallery. We've got Hayward Gallery across there and the IMAX Theatre at the very end. And then we just go straight to the very end of this one, and that will be the end of this part of the route. But we go down to this area below, and that's where Victoria Embankment is going to go from. We're going to go under the bridge to get to the part 3 of the route. So let me show you some of the sights that you'll see when you do the South Bank route. There's a lot of cultured entertainment on this part of the route, and we start it here with a picture of the Golden Jubilee Bridge, which was opened in 2002. There's two sides of it. This side, which has views towards the Houses of Parliament, and then the other side has views towards the city. It's supposed to reflect the original Hungerford suspension bridge with the suspension arches, but the interesting fact is that when that footbridge was originally in place, that the cables were moved across to the Clifton suspension bridge. The main building that we have here, after we go and see the views across the river, is the Royal Festival Hall. Now this is a large building. It has about 2,900 in terms of capacity. It's on the site of the Red Lion Brewery. You'll see later, you see the code line when we get to the end of the London Eye section. The main building on this part of the tour is the Royal Festival Hall. Now this was instigated in about 1951 from the Festival of Britain, and has remained here ever since. It's 2,900 capacity. It's got theatres, it's got dance, it's got music, it's got bars, and there's a great view along the top to have a view over the river. This particular view is taken actually on Waterloo Bridge. Associated with the Royal Festival Hall is also the Queen Elizabeth Hall and the Purcell Rooms. Now the Purcell Rooms is, Purcell was a 17th century composer, British composer, and this has both music and concerts venue. Just to the side of that is the Hayward's Gallery, which has been there since 1968 and is well worth a visit. To contrast that, there is their own art gallery underneath the Queen Elizabeth Hall, which is the Undercroft, which is a skate park, but the artistry there is all about graffiti. And then when we go underneath Waterloo Bridge, we then see the Royal National Theatre in front of us. Now this moved from the Old Vic in 1976, and it has a lot of varied performances from both new and contemporary artists. Close by to that is the British Film Institute, sometimes known as the National Film Theatre, and this has both classic and independent films as well as non-English films showing there. It's also got galleries and shops and restaurants, and it has recently been revamped in 2007. You will also see at the corner, but probably better in this other picture here, is the BFI London IMAX theatre, which has a huge screen of 20 times 26 metres across, and that's actually built inside the roundabout. The final part of this leg is to go across Waterloo Bridge, and you can see how Waterloo Bridge looks today and what it used to look like when it was built. It was established in 1817, which was a couple of years after the Battle of Waterloo, hence why it changed its name from the Strand Bridge to Waterloo Bridge, partly influenced by Wellington. However, when they created Victoria Embankment, it meant that the foundation started to get eroded a bit quicker than was originally planned, because the river was flowing a lot faster and therefore it needed to be rebuilt. They started in 1939, but then the war meant that it had to be delayed. It was the only real bridge to actually be bombed during the war. However, the people who built it and constructed it were mainly women at the time, and that is why it's called the Ladies' Bridge. It's also considered to be one of the best bridges to get views of London, because you can see both the City of London as well as the buildings around Westminster. And that ends part 2.